Class of 2021 parents, welcome to the Senior Parent Night presentation. My name is Kevin Terry. I'm the School Counseling Director here at Rockridge High School, and the counselor and I will be walking you through the college process. Tonight we'll be reviewing information that we'll go over with your students in their senior meeting and hopefully provide you information to get us through the year. Here are the members of the counseling department, and you'll see the counselor caseload breakdown by alphabet. Currently, Mr. Taylor is recovering from a medical emergency. It was not COVID related, but it was a life-threatening event that will take some time for him to recover. So Mr. Wareham and I, Mr. Terry, will be working with the students on his caseload. If you have questions during the presentation, there should be a chat box on your screen. Usually it's on the right side of the screen where you can submit your questions. We will be breaking during the presentation several times to answer questions that we've seen in chat and kind of questions that are prevailing throughout the presentation. So hopefully you'll be able to have your questions answered during this time. At the end of the presentation, we'll be posting the presentation and the transcript of the questions and responses in chat. Sources of Strength is a program facilitated by our Unified Mental Health team. The program focuses on building resilient factors in students that already exist, positive factors that already exist in their lives. Last year, this was a very popular club that continued throughout the year, even throughout our COVID crisis. Students, along with the school psychologists, social workers, and counselors, met and came up with ideas to help students build resilient factors in their lives and promote healthy relationships. So where do we go from here? Even in the most normal of times, the senior year can be a stressful process for seniors, their families, everybody in the immediate household can experience the stress of senior year. This year we have some added stress that has created even more confusion. So hopefully tonight we'll walk you through the steps that your senior needs to take. Hopefully this will work to maybe ease some of the anxiety the seniors have about the process and move them forward throughout the year. With our current crisis, there's been a lot of confusion around what's happening in college admissions. One of the best places to go to get the answers quickly is the National Association of College Admissions Counselors website. They have a number of different tools, including being able to search for a college and find out which colleges are test optional, which colleges have changed deadlines for early action or early decision or regular decision. And on their coronavirus and college admissions page, they have tools designed to answer your questions and keep you updated.
We have created a senior page that you can find on the Rockridge High School Counseling website. On this page, you will be able to access the entire senior college and career packet, as well as the required forms your senior will be filling out. We have provided walkthrough instructional videos on how to fill out the forms that are required. We are going to use Stanford University as an example. If you go to the Coalition website, which is an application method you can use to apply to multiple schools, you will see that Stanford takes the Coalition. So students may find that multiple schools that they're applying to are Coalition schools and will apply to Stanford using the Coalition application. However, if you go directly onto Stanford's website, you will see that they use Common App as well. Common App is another application method that students can use to apply to multiple schools. So if they're applying to schools that use Common App, it makes more sense for the student to fill out the Common App application for Stanford as well. If most of the schools that your student is applying to use Coalition, then it would make more sense for them to use Coalition to apply to Stanford. The most important takeaway here is go directly to the university's website to see which application method they use. It is extremely important for your student to create an appropriate email address that you have access to. Colleges will communicate directly with your student using this email address. If they have missing components of their application, colleges will email them. If they've received their application, they will get a confirmation through this email address as well. It should be an email address that everyone has the password to, so people are checking it frequently. More and more colleges are checking students' social media. It's very important that students use their social media platform in a positive light. This is a great way for them to speak upon their accomplishments. Here are some examples of positive social media use. Students can create a LinkedIn profile, a digital portfolio, or an About Me page. All of these platforms can highlight students' accomplishments, their activities, and what they've been involved in.
Okay, so if you have questions at this time, we're going to invite you to put them in the Q&A. And we'll give you a little time to do that if you have any questions about what we have covered so far.
Your students should want to attend every school they apply to. The message here is simply that students should spend their time and their money on colleges that they really, really want to get into. What I mean by that is we do have experience with some students just applying to a very long list of colleges, which is very costly. And often they haven't done a whole ton of research on some of the colleges that they want to see if they get in. They don't really want to get into them. We just find that this is not a very good use of our students' time. Choosing the right college. There is no magic formula for choosing the right college, but there are steps that your student can take to try to find the best fit for them. We have a list here of things your student should consider. Of course, the program of study. Does the college offer the major or program that you're most interested in? School and class size. Would your student thrive in a larger setting where they kind of blend in, but they like it that way? Or would they prefer a smaller size school where they might have more opportunity to build on relationships or connect with their teachers a little bit better. Extracurricular activities. Is your student an athlete, or do they like music, or are they in the band? Perhaps they want to find a college that offers those things. Distance from home. Maybe your student would love to be close to home so they could swing by mom and dad's house on the weekend, or would they like to take a leap and be a little far so that mom and dad might have to take a drive or fly to come visit them? These are all things to consider. Here we have a list of resources in which will allow your student to find more information. On the left side, we have 3 search engines where your students can conduct an online search based off of program of study, school size, campus culture, extracurricular activities, etc. Whatever's going to help them to find the best fit. On the right side, we have other ways that students can find information. Visiting campuses. Virtual tours have become very popular in allowing students to explore their campuses without setting foot on campus. Self-touring. If you have an opportunity to visit a campus, please make sure you're reaching out to the college campus to see what their rules and regulations are for self-touring, where you print out a map and you walk the campus on your own. College rep visits. Rock Ridge is hosting college visits virtually this year. Every week, Mrs. Barnes, our career specialist, sends out a list of the upcoming visits. Also, this list can be found in Naviance. It is a very good idea for your students to attend these visits for the colleges that they're interested in. Virtual open houses. When you're going to the college website, look to see if your college offers a virtual open house. This is another way for students to gather information and may have an opportunity to ask questions. Contacting the admissions rep. For the colleges your students are interested in, they can contact the admissions office and either schedule an appointment, or the admissions officer might be able to talk with them when they call in. And lastly, college virtual links. If you are to type this in the URL, it will pull up a list of colleges with their virtual tours. We will be providing this presentation in various areas where you'll have access to it. But again, you can just type in college virtual links. Different level of importance. Students will often ask us, what's going to be most important? My SAT scores, my essay, my rank, my letters from my teacher or my counselor. What's going to be most important when the admissions office is looking to see if I will get in? The truth of the matter is that every school places a different level of importance for each of these variables. So, you know, sometimes the students get a little annoyed with us, but we often will tell them, you just strive to do your very best. That's all we can tell you to do. Of course, when you're choosing teachers to write you letters of recommendation, you want to ask those teachers who has gotten the opportunity to get to know you, or who has had you for multiple classes. But really, some of that's in your control and some of it's not. So it can be too stressful to think about all that stuff. So again, we just encourage our students, do your very best. Here we would like to share the Advanced program, which is a new partnership between Northern Virginia Community College and George Mason University. It allows our NOVA students to specifically be on track to transfer to George Mason University. There are enrollment requirements you can see down below. However, you know, the benefits here clearly a financial benefit with taking classes starting off at the community college level. And then also, working our students having the opportunity to get used to college and then going to a bigger school. There's so many benefits to this, so we just wanted to make sure that we share this opportunity for students who are either planning to Nova, going to Nova, or planning to go to GMU, and now can see that they have this other opportunity by starting off at Nova. During the college application admission process, it's going to be very important for your student to stay organized, whether they're applying to 2 colleges, 4 colleges, or more. Each college has their own set of requirements and deadlines, and the more colleges the student is applying to, it can be very overwhelming. So it's going to be important for your student to find a way to stay organized. What you're looking at is a tool that a student created, and I believe they used Microsoft Word to create this chart. Another option is Excel. And then, lastly, some students like to keep it simple and just use a notebook and write it down. And there is no wrong or right. It's whatever helps your student to stay organized. It works as a checklist to kind of, as the student completes an action item or they get to a deadline, they can check it off. So really it acts as a way for students and parents to know what the student has completed, what they still have left to do. As you can see from this example, the student places the university in the far left column. They list the colleges that they're applying to. Then all the columns to the right are the different requirements that may apply to that college. And so the student, when they're conducting their research, they can list, the application deadline. If they are using the Common App, they can write down that application deadline, the FAFSA deadline, the number of teacher recommendation letters they need for that college. Every college is different in this area, so it would be very important for them to know whether, Virginia Tech doesn't actually, doesn't want a teacher recommendation letter. Some colleges will want a letter from a counselor very specifically, and others will not. Listing there whether the student has actually submitted their SAT or ACT score. Have they submitted their transcript request to the counseling office? And if they're applying to scholarships, what is the scholarship deadline? So, listing all the action items helps the student to kind of understand what they need to do for each college. And then by checking, once they've met that deadline or they have, they understand the number of recommendations they need from a teacher, they can check that information off. And again, just allowing them to kind of understand where they are in the process for each of the college. So our message here is it's very, very important for the student to stay organized.
We have received some good questions and are working on answering those. If you have a question at this time, we would like to invite you to add those in the Q&A, and we are happy to help answer any questions you have so far. It's best for your student to complete their research early on and figure out what is the best resource for them to use when applying to colleges or universities. Would it be the Common Application, Coalition, or applying directly to the college or university? Common App and Coalition are similar in which they both allow students to apply to multiple universities or colleges through one application. The application type with the most universities or colleges on it that your student is planning on applying to would be the best option to go with. Another option is applying directly to the college via their application portal. It is important that your senior completes their application. In the spring, counselors recommended to students that they should begin reaching out to whom they would like to write their letter of recommendation, allowing the recommender enough time to write a strong letter of recommendation. I would also like to highlight that students should see if any letters are even needed. Schools are lowering the requested number of letters, and the norm ranges from no letters to 2 letters. It's important that your student verifies this through the college website. They can use the suggested chart you saw earlier to make a note of the amount. Also, if a letter is needed, the same recommender could be used for multiple schools, as we do not specify in our letters for which school the letter is going to. More and more colleges are finding ways to catch students that use these services. One sure way to not get in. Your student needs to complete the application themselves. In addition, they can always ask a teacher for advice and help on essays and grammar or topics. Furthermore, we do have the Writing Center that can assist students with their essays. With COVID-19, it has become challenging for students to register and take an entrance exam during the springtime. With colleges and universities being aware of this, some are now not requiring entrance exam scores. However, if they do require the ACT or SAT, your student must make a request via College Board or ACT for test scores to be sent to the colleges or universities. The best place to verify this information would generally be the admissions page. It is important to note that entrance exam scores could be needed for scholarships, honors colleges, specific programs, etc. So it's important to complete the research. There are upcoming test dates that your student can still register for via the College Board or ACT website. There are 2 application plans, non-restrictive and restrictive. The first one we're going to look at is the non-restrictive. Within here we have regular decision, rolling admission, and early action. In regular decision, students are applying by a specific date, generally in January or February, and a decision is received in a clearly stated period of time. For rolling admission, students can apply anytime throughout the admissions cycle, and they will receive a decision within 4 to 6 weeks generally. And for early action, students are applying again by a specific date. However, that date is going to be earlier on, generally in November or December. SRAR is short for Self-Reported Academic Record. This process requires that applicants to the university or college submit their high school record as part of the application process, rather than having the school counselors send transcripts for each applicant. It is important that students report grades exactly as they appear on their high school transcript. Seniors have access to their transcript via Student View under the Documents tab.
Again, we're going to take some time and allow folks to submit their questions. We'll continue to do the best to answer them as we move through the presentation.
The Rockridge transcript form can be found on our high school page. That information also includes a short tutorial video that you can use. This year you can add up to 5 colleges, and there is a tutorial about how to download it for your student to fill it in and how to return it to Rockridge Counseling. This is a chart that outlines the deadlines of when your student needs to return their materials to the counselor based on when the application deadline is. So for instance, if you look at the October 15th college application deadline, if that's when it's due to the college, then your student needs to have a copy of the request for transcripts, student insight sheet, and any other materials due to the counseling office so that we can have time to process that and write your student a recommendation and make sure those materials are submitted on time. So even if you submit it prior to the 24th, that's fine. It just means that we have up until then to make sure that we get it in on time. And if a materials due to counselor falls on a due date that's on the weekend, your student is perfectly acceptable giving that to us on the Monday. So we do cover this information in the senior meeting, but here's a nice little flow chart of how your student is going to move through the process in the Rockridge School Counseling Office. So your student makes sure to submit their application online, so either the Common App Coalition or directly to that school or university. And then from there, they need to make sure their updates are listed in Naviance. So they go through all of that and move it into colleges I'm applying to. They fill out and complete a transcript request form, and they send that to Rockridge Counseling. And from there, that information is made available to us so that we can send your information to include the requested transcripts, secondary school report, recommendation from the counselor if requested, and recommendations from teachers that are requested so that we can make sure it gets there by deadline. The Rockridge Counseling Senior Information website includes a copy of the Student Insight Sheet. The Student Insight Sheet is a wonderful and very valuable resource for counselors to be able to present your student in the best foot forward with information that we may not know about your student. So when we know your student as academically having been at our school for however many long years, and we have their transcript information, there's definitely some things that we can use from a student insight sheet, such as volunteering, any jobs, and any information that might be helpful to include in a nice recommendation letter. And this definitely is a really valuable tool. There's also the parent insight sheet that is included with the student insight sheet. It's optional for a parent to fill out if they want to, but it also can provide us some really valuable information. At the top, it says to include a resume. We like to have your resume because it does provide us a good chronological order of things that you may have done in high school, and it's a nice compact way of doing that so you can return all of that at the same time. The Student Insight Sheet is found on the Rockridge website for senior information. If you download it, then it can be completed right on the form. And the student, instead of sending it to Rockridge Counseling, they're going to go ahead and send this directly to the counselor that they are interested in having write that recommendation letter. So when they are submitting their transcript request forms to Rockridge Counseling, we would prefer at the same time you provide the student insight sheet so that we have that information in order to complete your letter. The FAFSA, or Federal Student Aid, is a form in which you would complete online, and it is going to be your student's financial aid profile. It does assist universities in determining if they will offer aid to your student. Some schools also have a FAFSA deadline, whereby which they do want students to fill it out. The current FAFSA will be available to seniors, this year's seniors, on October the 1st, 2020. So you can go and create your FAFSA ID prior to then, but you can't fill out the one for your seniors until after October the 1st. We at the Rockridge Counseling Office and in general tend to recommend that students work on this sooner rather than later, because schools don't generally have an unlimited source of funds, and it's a really good idea to make sure that they get their federal information in so that the schools can consider them for opportunities that may arise. So this is the site you can go to. I mean, you can definitely Google FAFSA or Federal Student Aid, and then you can go ahead and start a new FAFSA, which would be creating your ID and login. There's also the bottom of this slide, you can see the FAFSA .ed.gov website that you can go to directly. And even if you don't think you're eligible for aid, you still should fill out a FAFSA, because I do think it will help. Okay, so here is the website for FAFSA. So you can see that at the bottom of this slide is the web address you can use to go directly to them. You can start a new FAFSA. This is where you would go to create your ID. Even if you don't think you would be eligible for financial help, I think it's important that you go ahead and fill this out, and it is recommended that you do so. I'm going to be biased. I think we have one of the best college and career centers, and it is largely due to the very, very talented Mary Barnes, who's in there. Our college and career website really contains a lot of really great information for students. Currently, you can also find information on federal aid. You can see we've highlighted it here in yellow, and scholarships. So we used to have a very large packet that we would give seniors about scholarships. All of that from local and information that we update is going to be found on our website for our students to view. I think one of the things that you can do, I know a lot of our students are looking at applying to colleges and doing that work right now, but I think, you know, once you have sort of completed some of that, you can move into scholarships. I try to discourage anyone from saying, oh, you know, we've saved money, we don't need scholarships, or, you know, we can, you know, afford to pay for it out of pocket. It's great, but look for some opportunities, because you don't want to say financially you're not eligible for those. You absolutely are, and as long as you're an undergraduate student, then the student would be eligible to receive some scholarships of, you know, maybe varying types and maybe even some aid. In order to formally assist our students with post-graduation plans, be they college or determining they're going to enter the workforce or something different from that, we have put together an opportunity for students to meet directly with their counselor using SetMore, and this was sent out on Schoolology. They have a 30-minute opportunity to make an appointment. So all they need to do is select the counselor based on their last name and use the link to book an appointment. During this appointment, they will be able to specifically discuss exactly what they need for their college plans, some information on how to use Naviance to do so and request recommendations formally, how to request formally a recommendation from their counselor, how and what documents are sent, and to answer specific questions regarding their own process. As you can imagine, a lot of the college fairs that were in person have had to make some changes. So we have taken a moment to put together some of the college fairs and other informational sessions, such as financial aid night, where you can get assistance with completing your FAFSA and other financial documents, other career expos. And so we'll be updating this information, but here is a little bit on how to get more information. So we recognize the challenges that students are facing in not being able to visit their college of choice or one they may be interested in person, but there do remain some college fair opportunities that are virtual for them to have the smaller groups to be able to meet with some of those college recruiters to get more information about those schools. There also remains, if you go to the websites of the various colleges, opportunities for students to take virtual tours to be able to see those campuses and to possibly book an appointment through them to get more information. So we'd like to thank everyone who tuned in to watch our presentation virtually. We hope it's been informative. We'll be around to answer a few more questions this evening. If you're reviewing this information later and you have questions, we'd like to invite you to go ahead and email your student's counselor directly, and they'll help you out. We also want to take a moment to encourage everyone to let their senior know that they need to go ahead and book their appointment as soon as possible. We'd like to help them get on the right road, and we think we can do that when we are able to see them sooner rather than later. Have a good evening.
So again, thank you to everyone who was able to participate with us tonight and watch this event. Earlier in the summer, back in August, the first week of August, there were similar presentations on how to work through the student packet. All that information, as well as how to fill out the transcript request, are posted on the senior part of our website. So you can go back and review those as well. Again, this presentation will be posted for students and parents to watch again. We'll have other events like these where we can present information and help students through the journey. The most important part is for your student to go ahead and log in and make their appointment with their senior counselor as we move through this time. In the fall, it gets pretty busy with admissions and what should I do next? So hopefully the senior appointment helps folks work through that. If you watch the instructional videos we have on the senior website, that also helps. And if you're worried about kind of what impact has our current COVID crisis had on admissions, please go back and watch the series that we did in late spring and early summer with 6 different admissions directors throughout the United States, and you can hear their answers right as we ask them. So that's another good opportunity to see and learn some more information. So again, thanks to everyone who came out tonight, and we look forward to working with your senior. Thank you and good night.